born to those who pledged their lives in sacred honor, was smiled upon by God and freed from chains and iron collar. He is held aloft on unity and by history revered. For preserving peace through strength, his wings now reach across 200 years. But for each of those in 1 year more, God has smiled upon the core. From the Barbary coast to the eastern sand, by sword, by gun, or by bare hand. So it's been and shall be weighed. Though many are born, few are made. Faithful always they shall remain. Dogs to loose when war is waged.
Good night, Chesney, wherever you are.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to Cold War Radio live from studio number 1, which means we are out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr., your host. Deep down in the bunker, the Cold War Radio patron hotline is 412-206-6208. The voicemail, 412-567-1460. Please go to steelcityresistance.com and become a Cold War Radio patron, or you can catch the research room, the video page, which shows the videos of the various audio clips that we play on the program. If you'd like to write to the show, please write to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 10433, 370 Castle Shannon Boulevard, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania 15234. Alrighty, we got a full show for you tonight as usual. Let's swing around to the east and let's welcome Ward Miller to the program. Hello, Ward. Come in, please.
Hello, Hudge, and hello, my bacon-loving deplorables. How we doing tonight?
Well, it's going to be a big one, I think. I want to thank Nedmo right off the bat. Thank you, Nedmo, for becoming a Cold War Radio patron. We appreciate that. It always keeps things going because we lost a couple, too. But if you'd like to become a patron, that's the best way you can help the program, that's for sure. We got some things going on. We got CPAC coming up. That's the patrons help for that, but that's a separate thing. If you go to steelcityresistance.com, you'll see a donate button on there. We've got some funds standing by, but we just made another move. We designed and ordered I think it was a 4x6? I forget. 4x8 banner for behind us on Radio Row, so you will be able to pick us out easily, ladies and gentlemen, with the bright reds, whites, and blues of the new banner.
They declined my idea for fireworks. The Secret Service just wouldn't allow explosions and stuff.
Yeah, they get a little freaky about that, especially in the middle of liberal land. But, I don't know if you've been there recently, but you're going to get a shock, Ward, because you're going to see where Bill Peduto got his idea for bikes, for rental bikes, because that's where he saw them. The only difference between D.C. and Pittsburgh's in the mountains. And riding bikes around in the mountains is kind of hard.
It's really funny. I see those bikes laying at the bottom of hills.
Yeah.
It's like somebody, they took it and they rode it down the hill and they're like, I'm not pushing this up or riding this up this. Oh, screw it. And they just leave it. I
was out there one time and I'm looking at all these bikes and I'm going, son of a gun. This dumbass is trying to copy DC because they're the same bikes. You know what I mean?
I'm sure. Yeah, but I'm sure there's not a whole lot of companies that make bikes with timers and locks,
solar powered. Yeah, solar powered things. But I was just thinking, all right, there it works because it's all flat. But all right, whatever. Here, all it does is put somebody who's coming the other way from me in danger because I'm going to win. You know what I mean?
You got a big F-150, you're going to win.
So there's a lot of ridiculous things going on out here, Ward. It's tough to follow. These people they're just falling apart, man. I mean, I don't know really where we're going here.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it started last week, right? Right after Soleimani got blasted, and then, they were going to retaliate, and they shot some bottle rockets at us. And as soon as they did that, the lefties went, oh, my God, they're going to kill us. They're starting World War III. And it was like they took extreme care not to hurt any Americans. After President Trump said, one more American gets hit, we're coming.
There was probably flour. There's probably flour.
There was absolutely no chance of anybody being harmed in that attack. It was for their own, so that they could say that they retaliated. I mean, if you really think about it, Iran went to war with Iraq. Iran went to war with Iraq for 8 years. After 8 years, they called it a draw.
Yeah,
we ran over Iraq in 21 days.
I know people.
Done.
I know people that were like involved with that, and You know, when you're in Iraq, there's a couple places where they're concentrated, but there's abandoned, blown up Iraqi tanks everywhere. You know, and a guy I was talking to said, yeah, they couldn't use the fire control systems, so they never hit each other. You know what I mean? The tanks got blown up later, but they'd shoot at each other and they'd miss because, you know, they couldn't use the sophisticated systems in there. It's unreal.
So they were just trying to point the turret.
I guess, yeah. Mm-hmm. So MSNBC is probably the worst. They're probably the worst. This Joy Reid, I want you to. The headline caught my eye because the headline is Trump's fault that Nazis are walking around in America. And, of course, I had to respond to that tweet because I'm out of jail now. I'm kind of running on trying to be, you know, like under the radar a little bit, but sometimes you just have to. And
so, of course, you take a swing at Joy Reid when you're trying to stay below
I was like, Joy, I missed those. Where'd you see those Nazis at? I want to see them. Where they at? I've never seen one.
Yeah, I'd like to see a Nazi up close.
Yeah.
I've never seen one. I mean,
She
my
didn't answer me,
grandfather fought them.
Yeah,
but
she
I
didn't
haven't
answer
seen a
me.
Nazi.
She never came back to me. I mean, I don't understand it. Let's listen to her though. She gets into it a little bit. Joy, what's her name? Joy Reid.
Because I think what we're
Hold on. I remembered the clip now. Listen how distressed she is. These people are truly weak, Ward. They are weak, and I'm going to prove that as we go tonight. But there is absolutely no. Why would you be this upset? Because I know she's working a much better job than I had, so I'm quite sure she's got some kind of retirement going on, and I'm pretty sure she can read Roman numerals and things like that, or you know numerals and money and currency, and she can look at her retirement plan. And why would that make you distressed? I don't understand. Let's listen to her.
Because I think what we're kind of all getting to is Donald Trump. We were talking about this in the hair and makeup room a little bit as well. He produces a kind of anxiety in people that is so profound. It's part of the reason people are obsessively watching this show and Rachel Maddow, and it's like Rachel Maddow is sort of their psychologist at this point, because people are afraid of not just what he can do, but what he's doing to people, what he's bringing out in people, the kind of people he's surfacing in the United States. You have swatting happening and Nazis walking around. It is a scary time. And you look at the polling on what Donald Trump has just done. And rather than make people feel more confident, it's made people more anxious. So here's the anxiety level in 2018 versus 2019. People are more anxious. Do people feel safer after the strike on Iran? They feel less safe. So that the anxiety, everything he does makes people feel worse. So do you think that redounds in particular to any particular candidate that's running on the Democratic side?
Well, let me start with the notion just practically that energy is contagious.
Yeah.
And it's disproportionately contagious when you have more influence. So the elevated nervous system of Trump, the anxiety of Trump, gets communicated both to his supporters and to his antagonists. So we all feel it. So let's start with that. Do I think it redounds to any candidate? No, I think it hurts the candidates who arouse fear in people. Yeah. So to be honest, I would say that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren strike up in that middle 600,000 or 300,000 people who this election will be decided by more anxiety. So the more moderate a candidate is, the less anxiety he or she tends to create.
Yeah.
So I believe that the candidate that should be nominated is indeed the one who will have the best chance of winning those 600,000 votes.
You know, it must be just absolutely horrible to be a black woman in America right now. She must be terrified to go outside of her house. And she probably doesn't have a house, or apartment.
Well, which is terrifying because Candace Owens seems to be pretty founded, you know. It doesn't sound to me like she's ready to, you know, clutch her pearls.
No, and I can't tell you the last time I was afraid of Iran either. I mean, have you ever been afraid of Iran? I mean, I was. No. I mean, now I was a little leery when I was in basic training, you know, because we didn't know what was happening. But I was never afraid of them. I mean, these people are. This is why you have safe spaces, because of morons like this. I believe that she feels that way
because they're scared of a situation that hasn't occurred, that may not occur. That's just in theory. You know, oh, they attacked us, so you know, Iran's going to be launching an attack on the United States, and They're going to be blowing stuff up. No, that kind of went to the wayside. Now the protesters are down there, and I just posted a video on Twitter of the students walking around. There's flags painted on the ground for them to walk on, an American flag and an Israeli flag, and they're refusing to walk on them.
They're walking around it. There's like a foot or two. Yeah, there's like a foot or two on either side. They're going right down the skinny lane. I mean, there's a few people are jumping on the flags, but the crowd's booing them. You know, this is a big deal. What's going on in Iran right now is a big deal, and it continues the crime family actions of the corporate media in the United States of America today. Man, they should be reporting on this. It's a shame that they're not. We're going to, but in a good way too. I mean, this is good.
And the thing is, this is equivalent to the whole thing that happened at Tiananmen Square. I mean, and the press was all over that. Why? This is the same thing. I mean, they're standing up for the third or fourth time now.
Let's go up to 60. Let's go up to 60,000 feet, Ward. Let's go up to 60,000 feet, and let's realize where we are right now. We talked back in 2012. I'm sure you remember it. Because I listened to Steel City Resistance number 74 on the weekend. But you know, there's been several revolutions in our country's history, and a lot of them are in the world history. But one of the things that happened was before World War I, the entire world's elite leadership structure was toppled. You know, you had the Archduke Ferdinand and the Balkans, and you just had all these old empires that fell. The only one that didn't fall was England. One of the only ones that didn't fall. And I think what you're seeing right now, and when we came out of that, America got Roosevelt. And where we're living right now is because of Roosevelt. It's what Roosevelt started. You know, there was other times prior to that in the country. But Roosevelt started this, and we're about ready to tear Roosevelt's ass down. And it's not just here. It's in the whole world. Look at Brexit. Look at Eastern Europe. You know, look at all the Middle Eastern countries that I don't really care about. You know, but this is, look at France. France has had strikes. Taipei. Look at Hong Kong. I mean, this is happening. We are living in history right now. And you're not going to believe this, but you and I couldn't find the clip. I didn't have enough time to extract a clip from that show. I know Marlene listened to the show. I don't know who else did. There's not a whole lot of people that do. I don't know why that is. It's probably because they don't know it's out there. So let me finish my story first. You and I predicted Donald Trump on the show in 2012. We talked about it. We said we need somebody with some balls that doesn't need a teleprompter. I mean, we had it. Ward, we nailed it. Our only problem, we were 4 years too early. And we were thinking that Romney was going to pick somebody strong as a vice president. And none of that worked, obviously. But I mean, we saw this coming. It's not just, this is a big deal, and it's all over the whole country. That was the other thing that we were talking about. You can't just do it from Washington. People have to be fired up everywhere.
I don't know if it was just as much we picked Donald Trump or it was he filled the wish list that we had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, here's all the stuff we need. We need somebody that's strong. We need a businessman. We need blah, 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 blah. And he just happened to fit the mold, which is great. I mean, it's tremendous. I mean,
when you look at how many times you look at how many times he was going to run, he has good timing.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was an article I read today that since they've started keeping track of unemployment figures right now is the lowest unemployment ever. They started keeping track of that at Eisenhower.
He's
So
already
since
starting to talk.
Eisenhower-
He's already starting to talk about we don't have enough skilled workers to fill the jobs. And I mean,
Yeah.
my answer to that's not immigration. My answer to that is get the unions the hell out of the schools. Get the unions and the government out of the schools, and let's make sure we have enough skilled workers. That's what the frickin' schools are for. You know, that's why public schools were invented, to make sure that the Industrial Revolution could work. Because without people that knew how to operate all that equipment, we were done.
Well, here's the problem. We've allowed people to convince us that in order for you to get a good job, you have to go to college. And now you have guys and girls graduating from college with a degree in art history and wondering why they can't get a job and how come they're $150,000 in debt. So the guy that goes to, the trade school that learns how to be a welder or a plumber, they're making bank, and, the tuition for a trade school is insignificant compared to what it costs to go to college, to a 4-year college.
Right. Plus,
And
you can have enough
we
money
need-
to buy a truck and tools and whatever else you
Oh
need.
yeah. And that's what you're going to need. People are going to need plumbers and carpenters and
Damn right.
electricians. I mean, people are building. I mean,
Try to get somebody on the weekend like that if you have an emergency at your home, and see how long it takes to get a plumber. I
and
have
if you
one.
get them, you're going to pay them.
Yeah, no question, no question about it.
Bang.
No doubt at all. I want you to listen to this next clip. I have John Kerry on here, but I want you to listen to the clip. But he's going to do something in here, and this is starting to trend. I'm starting to notice this. The media soon is going to be forced, at least in part, to start telling the truth. It's going to be unavoidable for them. It's already started. I mean, you can't deny what's going on in Iran. You could try to hide it, but that's not going to work for long. Not in this day and age. Not with people like us out here. And
Well, no, and the thing is too. Now think about this, Hutch. Back in '79, when the Iranians took over the embassy and whatnot, the only information we had was what the networks gave us.
exactly.
I mean,
And Nightline.
we had no idea, and they could have lied to us point blank and just said, "Oh, this happened, that happened," and we had no way of validating it. There was no way to go and check on them. It was okay. I guess that's what it is. And then when the internet became popular, is when they start going, "Oh crap!" We're having to, be honest. And what's this honest thing that they're
Right.
speaking of?
You mentioned
So, I
that.
think
You
that's
mentioned
catching a lot of them.
You mentioned that back in 2012 too. You were talking about your father, and you said, my father has to rely on the newspapers and the evening news, and you were saying about how you can go over there and talk to him about different events that are going on or whatever, but he's getting what they give, and there's still
Yeah.
a lot of people like that. I think
sure.
it's getting smaller every day, but
But the problem is too, Hutch. I mean, especially around where we live, Allegheny County is the second oldest county in the United States, next to Dade County, Florida.
yeah, you mentioned
And
that too. Yep.
You have a bunch of older people that aren't going to get on a computer and check, what was said, or they're going to sit and whatever Channel 2 tells them or whatever.
Right.
Most of them aren't even going to go to CNN. They're going to go to their local news, and whatever the local news says, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what's bad, is because those guys are
It shouldn't be.
lying
It
just as
shouldn't be
much
bad.
as-
It's a shame. It shouldn't be bad. You should be able to trust your news. I mean, that's we're in a bad place right now, and I'm not sure that it wasn't always this way either. I mean, I'm sure it's been this way.
Sure, absolutely. Because for the longest time, they controlled the information. And as long as they controlled the information, they can make the narrative whatever they wanted. And so you followed along. And now they don't have that opportunity, because even with them going, not reporting anything on what's going on in Iran, it's still getting out. There's still videos on YouTube. There's still videos on
Yeah.
Twitter, Facebook, blah, 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 blah. And now they can't hide it. Now they have to at least say, they have to acknowledge it. They don't have to go in depth on it, but they're going to have to acknowledge it.
So let me just give an announcement to the patrons of Cold War Radio. In case you didn't know, we're on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday live as usual. But if you're a patron, on the Patreon channel, we also run Berg's Eye View replays, which was my first show, and I'm running the series of episodes 19 to 40, I think, when I was deployed to Iraq. So that's an audio program, and that's on Saturday at 8. And Sunday at 8 is SCR TV, which is Steel City Resistance, when Ward and I were doing a video show. It was always a radio show, too, but it's the video portion of that.
You're actually showing the video.
Oh, yeah, they love it, too. I mean, Marlene, John, there's a few people that comment on it, as it's playing. But I got way more patrons than people that watch it, so I don't know if they don't like it or didn't know it was there. But I figure I'm sitting on Faces for Radio.
Said that we got the Faces for Radio.
That's true. It is true, but it's I don't know. It's different, and I'm sitting there. I'm thinking I'm sitting on this giant archive. I might as well use it for something, and I don't really give any benefits to patrons. I said that right up front. That a lot of people, they do these big, elaborate, different tiers on Patreon and things like that. And I said straight up, this is just a good vehicle if you want to support the show. I don't, I wasn't going into it doing any more than the show. But then, it's not that hard. I have this archive. I might as well use it.
Oh yeah.
John Kerry is out there. The idea that he's still walking around free pisses me off every time I see his beautiful face. But I want you to.
He should have locked up for the Logan Act a long time ago.
Absolutely. But I want you to notice how he tries to call out the reporter, like they're losing the grip on the media. That was my whole point. I want you to listen to the content, but I also, when it gets hot and heavy, I want you to listen to how he calls her out. You know. In the same way when we get to Nancy Pelosi and George stuffing envelopes. But right now, I want you to listen to Kerry. And, wow, what a lying son of a gun.
Well, Joe Biden is, in fact, providing more, which is to recognize that it's not enough just to go back to where we were, because obviously circumstances have changed and things have evolved in the last 3.5 years. And what Vice President Biden knows we have to do is make sure now that all the things that we were going to do in the follow-on agreement, which was always contemplated. Margaret, you were there. You're an expert at this. You know exactly what the truth is about it. We were trying to take the nuclear weapon off the table first and then negotiate Yemen, Hezbollah, threats against Israel, the regional question of trafficking of arms. And so Vice President Biden understands that now has to also be front and center. As you revive the agreement. But the truth is, France, Germany, Britain, China, Russia are all still trying to keep the agreement in place because they recognize it's the strongest, most transparent, most accountable nuclear agreement on the planet. And it did take a nuclear weapon off the table until President Trump decided unilaterally to ignore all of our allies and move to get out of the agreement.
Well, the president's
going
on the attack on that deal this morning, specifically mentioning you, perhaps not a surprise. But, I know the deal you negotiated lifted sanctions, gave some relief in exchange for capping the nuclear program. There was also a parallel negotiation that released some cash as part of a settlement of a different
Nothing to do with JCPOA. Nothing
the president
at all.
this week put blame on the administration, the administration you served on, with essentially helping to provide money to the IRGC. I want to play a soundbite of what you said in 2016 to CNBC when you were asked about how Iran would spend the money.
I think that some of it will end up in the hands of the IRGC or of other entities, some of which are labeled terrorist. To some degree, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every component of that can be prevented. But I can tell
Then
you
why'd you
this.
pass the deal, Jagoff?
Right now, we are not seeing the early delivery of funds going to that kind of endeavor at this point in time. I'm sure at some point some of it will.
I remember talking to you at the time. Money is fungible.
Sure.
Why, though, did
Absolutely.
you
Money is
think
fungible.
that was a risk worth taking if you knew the possibility of what would happen with that money?
Well, what I was really saying, I think, first of all, Margaret, you are an expert at this.
There it
You
is.
were there. You know that the president's tweet is a lie. And the president tweeted this morning because I am coming on the show, and he knew you'd ask me the question, or he'd push you in a place where you did ask the question.
So did you catch all that? He told her, you know it's a lie. You're an expert. You know it's a lie. You were there. And the president must have pushed you into asking me that question. Unreal. Let's finish it.
And the media, I think, need to call a lie a lie. You know
Mr.
they didn't
Secretary,
get $150
I asked you that question in
billion.
2015, too.
No, but let me just finish. You know, yes, and I'll answer that. I was saying clearly some money from the budget of Iran is going to go to the IRGC. It always has. That's no surprise. But the truth is, and President Trump...
Then why did you give him the money?
Well, he probably doesn't know this, but the fact is his own Defense Intelligence Agency in 2017 testified to the Congress that very, very little money actually went to the IRGC at all. Most of the money went to the economy of Iran.
Did you hear that rip? I want to hear that rip
said,
again.
And what we all said.
If you knew...
Watch what he
the
says.
possibility-
Watch when he says, well, the president, well, maybe he probably doesn't know that. He calls the president stupid. Watch this.
of what would happen with that money.
Well, what I was really saying, I think, first of all, Margaret, you are an expert at this. You were there. You know that the president's tweet is a lie. And the president tweeted this morning because I am coming on the show, and he knew you'd ask me the question, or he'd push you in a place where you did ask the question. You and the media, I think, need to call a lie a lie. You know
Mr.
they didn't
Secretary,
get
I asked you that
$150
question in
billion.
2015, too.
No, but let me just finish. You know, yes, and I'll answer that. I was saying clearly some money from the budget of Iran is going to go to the IRGC. It always has. That's no surprise. But the truth is, and President Trump, well, he probably doesn't know this, but the fact is his own Defense Intelligence Agency in 2017 testified to the Congress that very, very little money actually went to the IRGC at all. Most of the money went to the economy of Iran, which is precisely what I said and what we all said. So the IRGC has never had a problem getting money, Margaret. But the fact is, Donald Trump keeps saying they got $150 billion.
Can I borrow your Iranian car?
He keeps saying that all of that money went to pay for it. It did not. His own Defense Intelligence Agency says most of the money went for the economy of the country. So, you know, we have to stop dealing with questions on Donald Trump's lies and start dealing with the reality of what is going on. The fact is that the vast proportion of that money went to the economy of Iran, and they're always going to be funding the IRGC. There was no question about that.
Right.
And the IRGC budget has not gone up markedly as a result of what happened with the agreement, period.
Mr. Secretary,
Stan.
thank you for joining us. I want to take a break because we have a report from Iran.
Hold on, Margaret. I'd like to ask a follow-up question. Mr. Kerry, how in the hell do you know about the IRGC's budget? Are you there? Are you looking at the books?
I never knew a terrorist organization to have a books. Exactly. You know, oh, wait a second. We're going a little over budget. No.
What a scumbag, man.
No explosive vests this month.
This guy, what a horrible man.
You know what? While I was listening to him, I did some math, and here's what's interesting. Did you notice the beginning? He kept speaking about how Biden, Vice President Biden knew this.
He's on the tour with him. He's on the tour.
Yeah,
he's standing in front of the Biden tour bus. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, you can go see that at steelcityresistance.com on the video page. Go ahead. This is episode 728.
Okay, well, here's part 2 of that, right? He's pumping up Biden, but at the same time, the reason that this is my theory, the reason Nancy slow walked those impeachment papers is by the time the court starts in the Senate, that brings Sanders and Warren back. They have to stay in the Capitol. They are on lockdown. They can't campaign. The only one left that's in the top four that's left to campaign is Buttplug and Biden. And that's it. And so that tells me that they're going to be pushing Biden, and they're going to screw Sanders the same way that they did the last time for Hillary, and they're going to screw Sanders or Warren the same way that they screwed Sanders.
You know what McConnell ought to do, and I forget who I heard say this. I don't know if it was Andrew Breitbart, not Andrew Breitbart, Stephen Bannon.
Andrew Breitbart, we got some problems.
Stephen K. Bannon. That he should hold him. If he gets the articles, he should hold on to him for a couple weeks. You know, just play their game, man. He won't, though. They're pussies in the Senate. I'm telling you, I'm listening to little Marco Rubio out there, and, you know, these people are talking about witnesses. And here's my nightmare scenario. We get over there and we start this trial, and they call witnesses, but they only call the witnesses shift called. You know, the ones that were, we don't call any witnesses to exonerate our guy. I don't trust the Senate. I do not trust the Republican Party in the Senate. I don't. I think they hate Trump just as much as the Democrats do.
It might.
Some of them, not all of them. Some of them.
Some of them. Well, I got a breaking news story.
Okay.
Guess who just rolled into the LSU Clemson game?
POTUS.
That would be our commander in chief.
That's outstanding. That is outstanding.
And he got a standing ovation.
God bless America. Clemson. Outstanding. I mean, that's good news, man. That is. That's really. And you know, this is contagious. He's going to get a large portion of the black vote. He's going to get every single blue collar worker that has a half a brain cell left. It's just amazing. It really is. It's an exciting time to be around, because you have Elizabeth Warren, the last person of color. Or no, Yang. They don't count Yang. That's too light of a color.
Well, she's not only
yellow is too light.
A person of color. Yeah. But did you see the thing where Sanders came out and told her that she couldn't run because they'll never elect a woman?
Yeah, I did. And now she's coming out and says that she's willing to ban construction of new homes and ban energy mining or drilling. So that's going to be a good life under Elizabeth Warren. You didn't build that.
Well, okay, so you're not going to be able to build a new home. You know, so under President Trump, you're making all this money. You can do all kind of, you know, you built a big bankroll and you go, you know what, I'm going to build me a house. No, you can't do that.
No, it can't have heat. I mean, you can build it, but it can't have heat.
You can't. Yeah, because you can't mine for coal, so there's no electricity. I swear to God, these people have no brains in their head, because it's like, oh, well, these are electric cars. I can drive this electric car all I want. I just take it home and I plug it in. Well, what the hell do you think that powers the electricity? Where does the electricity come from? What's on the other end?
It reminds me.
They don't comprehend the fact that there's a big coal burning thing on the other end making the electricity. No, we harness lightning.
It reminds me of when I was in the Army, right? And these young guys that get out there and they get their first checkbook. And, back then everybody used to just go to the PX and cash checks. That's how you got cash, right? I mean, there wasn't any debit cards or anything like that yet. So the company was involved in, like, if the PX called up your unit, like if your wife bounced a check, then the PX would call your first sergeant, and the first sergeant would counsel you, and after a while, your ID card got stamped. No check cashing privileges. Because, wifey be back there, never did this before. And she was like, what are you talking about? I got 25 more checks in here. That's a true story, by the way.
I keep going until they're out of paper, right?
Yeah. I mean, true story, man, no doubt. So she's going to do that. And another nightmare is on the horizon. I guess that Mr. O'Keefe of Project Veritas is taunting the 2020 Democrats. I think he has something on Bernie Sanders, some real communist stuff.
I think that's the rumors. He got something on Bernie. Nobody knows. I mean,
he moved into his campaign and got some of his campaign workers to say that if Trump wins, they're going to start burning cities down and things like that. We'll see what happens. The first bombshell tape is going to drop this week, and I think he says tomorrow it's going to drop.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Tuesday. So we'll have to watch for that. That's going to be interesting, exciting.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious as to what it could be. I mean, it may be just the normal Bernie, rantings about how,
I think it's going to be. No, I think it's going to be the campaign. I think it's going to be online with what they found with the Hillary Clinton campaign and Schakowsky's husband Kramer, that was out. He was causing the fights in Chicago at the rallies and things like that. I think you're going to find some stuff like that. I do. You can't be real smart and support Bernie Sanders. It's just not possible.
No, because he basically wants to take this roaring economy and just drive it directly into the ground. Put the brakes on.
All of them do. Every one of them does.
Yeah, every one of them. All reverse. But I mean, and not only that, we're going to spend so much money. What was her health plan? It was like $26 trillion.
Yeah, it's going to kill us in taxes. It's going to kill us in taxes. And I mean, I don't think any of that's going to happen. I don't. I just.
None of them are going to get elected. They ain't got a chance.
I have much more faith. Much more faith in deplorables. Yeah, he's gone. He's gone. Another.
We didn't even. We should have had some kind of a parade or something. Some kind of a. Well, we can't really have a parade. We could have some kind of a voice parade where we all cheer because Spartacus is gone.
I don't know about you, man, but I had some thoughts about Obama, and I got the same thoughts about Cory Booker, man. He just doesn't remind me of one of the brothers I grew up with, man. He just seems like a little. Did you ever see him with a woman? I've never seen him with a woman. He's light, man. I'm just saying, man. He got that.
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Man,
you know what I'm talking. He got that.
He comes. He wants to be He wants to be street, But then he references himself as Spartacus. So it's like, dude, that's as far from not street as you could be.
I know, right?
I've never heard anybody on the street say, "I am Spartacus."
All right, what do you think about? I don't even know these people. Meghan and Harry, the royal pricks. They're staying at Clinton billionaire pal's home that is linked directly to the first uranium scandal, and they're being advised by the Obamas. We got some fake allies out there, man. I'm telling you. If it was up to me, it'd be like, all right, you know what? It's going to be like, this would be like an Etch-a-Sketch. I'd take an Etch-a-Sketch, and I'm really showing my age now. But I'd shake that son of a bitch up and, all right, we're starting over. Who's going to be our ally? I'd look out over there, Hungary, you're looking pretty good,
Yeah.
I mean.
You haven't pissed us off in quite some time.
I mean, when's the last time Canada, England, France, Italy, any of them did anything for us? When's the last time? Please enlighten me and make me like my own heritage.
I can't think of any time. I mean, other than, no, I can't. I mean, other than like the
they screw us.
Deal.
They screw us every time.
Other than economically, they'll trade. They trade with us, but other than that, it's like we are the teeth of the UN. Oh, the UN sent sanctions. No, the UN sent the U.S.
Right.
And I've said this. I mean, if you're listening to the old shows, you know that I've said it over and over again. We need to get out of the UN. Take the UN, send them to Switzerland or whatever.
I predict that. I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen as part of this fourth revolution. I do.
I hope it happens.
Marlene, I'm taking the copyrighted music off the program. You heard my slider in there after the intro to the show. That was copyrighted safe music. So the intros are going to go away. I'm trying to clean the show up. Marlene from Eugene, Oregon. Hello.
Okay, that's all right. That's fine. It was fun while it lasted. That was cool. Anyhow, first I got a couple things. I guess our crazy government, they're trying to go back to the climate change bill again.
They did it. Oh no! Wait a minute. I just heard that they did that in your state. The carbon offsets or carbon taxes.
What it is. Yeah, that's what the whole thing is, and it's stupid. It's like, give me a break, can't you guys? What's funny is what they call this thing. They call it. This is hilarious. Legislative Concept 19. That was so funny.
A trial balloon to see if anybody's going to shoot it down. If you know any activists, tell them to go start shooting it down.
That's right.
Well, here's the thing.
That's right.
When you're talking about the, I just lost my train of thought again. The
carbon tax, or what?
Yeah, the carbon tax. They're basically saying we want you to give money to the government, and we can change the weather.
Right. Which is
I mean, that's
true.
that's the bottom line. Right?
No, what it really is. What it really is we're going to extort people that use energy because it's a tangible way to count money. That's what this is all about. They can count. They have set the infrastructure up already. You got dumbass millennials that have these insurance company apps on their cars, on their phones, and attached to their cars. So if the government knows how many miles you drive, they could tax you for that. And that's what they're trying to do. Yeah. This is an extortion scheme. It's all about stealing. Scheme. That's what it's all about.
It is totally.
And it always has been.
The companies, the businesses too. They're going to say, "Oh, we're going to give you credits. You can buy credits."
That's exactly
for all
right.
this kind of crap, and and then they lessen the credits after so many, for so much time. It's just ridiculous.
But the best thing is,
no matter how much money they take, they're not going to be able to change the weather.
They don't care about that.
There's still going to be global warming. There's still going to be this. Making people pay
idiots,
money and credit isn't going to save anything.
But let me tell you something that's terrifying. All right?
Okay.
They've been telling our kids this for 20 years.
I believe it.
Any kid that's been in school in the last 20 years that started has been. You look at them. I mean, you look at the state of these Democrats, especially. They're so tore up. They couldn't stand up against anything. I mean, they're totally helpless. And they are deathly afraid. The first thing they think of when they wake up in the morning is the planet going to be here tomorrow? They're hook, line, and sinker into this, and it's our goddamn fault for letting it go unchallenged for so long. It's going to be hard for us to break out of this. It is. Because all you have to do to evaluate the United States of America's education system at all, that means everything, is how many supporters Bernie Sanders has. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. Think about it. Think about it.
I know.
Think about it. You got Americans. You got a fat ass, never missed a meal American kids that are going to vote for a communist.
Oh, they will. They're going to vote for the commies out here like you wouldn't believe because
I know.
There's so damn many of them out here.
It's unreal, man. It really is. And isn't it amazing? Yeah. Isn't it amazing how they flock to the places that are warm? That are warm.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Unreal.
Switching gears here, I was listening to the SCR TV last night, and I thought that was a good idea I really did, to get the unions out of the schools. And also I like the idea of providing a cheat sheet so that when we hear these Democrats, they say all this garbage, we can understand their code words. I thought that was a brilliant idea.
What happened with that?
Was that mine?
It was, but I did something about it. You know what it is?
Oh, you did?
Yeah, the research room. That's what.
Okay.
That's where the research room came from. Because because the
Oh,
guy,
dang, I didn't know
the
that.
guy that Ward was talking about, we had to excommunicate his communist ass. He wanted,
that's right.
You wanted
Okay.
you wanted Funky Dung to do it, Ward. You wanted him to set up this cheat sheet, and he wasn't with us much longer after.
No.
Yeah, that was funny.
That happens to a lot of people, though.
Yeah, one more quick question though. You were talking about back when you were in the Army, and I thought it was hysterical, the whole thing about cashing checks at the BX.
Yeah,
Well, what do you do? Well, how do you buy stuff if you can't cash a check?
it sucks.
I know
Man.
that
No.
sounds funny, but
You can
it's
write a
interesting.
check. You could write a check, I think, but you just
Okay.
couldn't. You couldn't get cash at the PX. You could go to your bank or whatever like that, but you
okay.
just couldn't. You lost
That was about it.
privileges right on post there. You didn't. They can't mess with your money. But they'd stamp.
Okay.
You had to show your ID card when you cashed a check, and if the ID card had a
Okay.
big old stamp across it, no check cashing privileges. Well, they're not going to cash it for you. But,
Okay, so you'd have to go to your bank or somewhere else. Okay.
Hey,
I was a little confused. and I was
Let me
like,
give you one more.
so what-
I'll give you one more story of that kind of.
Okay.
Before they pussified the Army. Now, this was only in training, right? It wasn't on permanent party. It wasn't on active duty, but this was when you're in basic training and AIT. I mean, these things, they drag out for months, right? So you still have, other things that you're doing. Well, you used to have a meal card, which was just a little, about the size of a driver's license, and it was a cardboard thing. I mean, on paper and typed out and everything, had your name on it. And whenever
Oh,
you
like a
went,
little punch card?
well, I mean, no, it was just like an ID card kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a laminated card.
But you gave it to
Okay, I was
the
thinking it was more a punch card where they punched it every time you had a meal.
no, because there's too many meals. I mean,
Okay.
you eat 3 meals a day for months. But if you lost this thing, right?
Yeah.
We used to have big cargo pockets on our legs, on our pants, and the drill sergeant would take a meal card. He'd take a meal card, and he would tape it onto a 2-foot long 2x4, and say, "Here's your meal card back."
Oh no!
So every time you went to eat, you had to go get this big ass 2x4 and put it in your pocket.
So funny.
It used to
That's
be.
hilarious.
It used to be a lot better than it is now, I'll tell you. But anyway, thanks for calling, Marlene.
You're welcome.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Marlene from Eugene, ladies and gentlemen. Always a great call. So Meghan and Harry, do we care about them? Not really.
I think the whole thing with it is I feel kind of bad for Harry. I think that she's kind of bullying him.
Did you see that clip?
Yeah, where she kind of just.
I saw it. I saw the headline for it. Like, man, this is creepy. She's running this guy. I didn't watch the thing because I don't care about him.
That's basically, well, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of screwed up because seeing it's a monarchy, that there's lines for who's in charge and who's next in line and and they're like, yeah, we're out.
Yeah, but you
Whoa,
know what?
What do you mean you're out?
I'll tell you what. I saw something that doesn't bode well for Harry and Meghan, and especially because, Queen Elizabeth has been around for a long time, man. She's old. I mean, she went through World War I, World War II. I mean, she was a little girl during World War I, my man. She drove a truck during World War II, and
yeah, but she's been the queen for 60 years.
Right. And there's people in England. And I mean, I don't know the whole United Kingdom, England. I mean, I know the geopolitical part of it, but I don't know who all, respects the royalty and all that. But I know I saw some things going on that if anything happens to that woman, health-wise, the whole freaking country is going to blame that guy because of this. This is very, very unconventional what they're doing. I mean, never happened before. And it's tearing her up. You saw the president's response. He said, she really shouldn't have to be going through this because he understands what it's about. They're too goddamn self-centered and worried about themselves to look at the majesty, no pun intended, of the whole thing, and
well, and the thing is that they seem to make it like they're making it from, we're not going to take any taxpayer or tax money or whatever. We're going to live on our own. You're not going to live on your own. You're a prince of England.
You're already sucking up to the freaking communists in the United States with the uranium one and the Clintons. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that.
I think they're going to stay in Canada because she's in Canada right now.
That's just as bad.
And because Canada's a British territory, so.
Is it? Nah.
Yeah.
Is it? Some of it, some of it probably is, because some of it's French, right?
Yeah, but they have the Queen on their money.
Okay, all right. Let's go to King George and welcome Ken to the show. Hello, Ken.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Happy birthday to y'all. You were bringing up, writing checks, man. I remember when I was in sub school. Usually like 2 to 3 days before the 1st or the 15th.
Yeah. Military paydays, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, depending on what state these people live in, because some places wouldn't take an out-of-state check. But if you had an out-of-state checking account back then, man, it'd take like 4 or 5 days for that check to clear, by the time. So... And everybody
direct deposit was the best thing that ever happened.
Oh yeah, and then you could check forever.
It was the best thing other than the government travel card. That was the real best thing, especially if you were a boss like I was. I had to travel all over the damn place, and that government travel card was beautiful. It'd get you in trouble if you were stupid. It would get you in trouble. You know what I mean? You had to stay. You had to stay up on your payments. But I went 25 years, never missed a payment, and I never missed getting paid. It was beautiful, best thing they ever did. But go ahead.
But yeah, with now they got these scanners. You write a check and that thing's pretty much instantaneously taken out of your account. But back then, I lived in Pennsylvania. I could write a check in Connecticut. It'd take about 4 or 5 days for it to clear. Yeah. So, man, everybody and their brother that lived out of state, man,
the crap out of you.
The delivery guy was busy.
Oh yeah, man! I'll tell you. It reminds me.
Everybody's writing checks.
Did you ever watch Did you guys ever watch Roseanne? Back when it was a real show, back in the day when it was funny, I remember watching. She's sitting there with her husband, and it's time to pay the bills, and they don't have enough money to pay the bills, right? And the old man is sitting there. I forget his name. Connor or whatever.
Dan.
Yeah, Dan's sitting there, and he's like, "Man, I don't have enough to pay this." And Roseanne walks in and sits down at the kitchen table and says, "Man, you don't know what the hell you're doing. Let me show you how to do this. You take the light bill and you write the check out, and you put it in with the electric bill, and then you take the electric bill and write that check out, put it in with the light bill, send them out, and then it's all good. They'll see the mistake, and we got 10 more days, and you're going to get paid." And I was like, "Damn, all right, that works." A little sideshow there. Not that I ever did that.
Yeah, I remember the mule carts and all that stuff too. They only did that when I was on the sub base, though. But never had problems with people, because they like to eat up there, and the food actually was pretty decent. So.
Well, I never had a problem. Well, I'll tell you what, and Navy food is really good. I mean, holy smokes, Navy food's way better than Army food. But I never bitched about the Army food either. I mean, I'm well nourished.
Well, I know now, like anything related to the Bachelor Enlisted Quarters or the galley and everything's all been taken over by MWR now. So prices going up. Now, nice thing about being a small base down here is me as a contractor, or I can go eat at the galley. It's going to cost me $8, but man,
I used to do that. I used to do that at Fort Indian Tongue. I'd go pay. Yeah, why not?
So,
that was another thing that we were talking about on Berg's Eye View on Saturday night. We were talking because we had moved from Fort Bragg over to Iraq, and when we got to Iraq, KBR, Kelly, is it Kelly? What's K? Something Brown and Root. Kelly Brown and Root. Anyway, KBR was running the mess halls. And they were running it with third country nationals, guys from Nepal and all kind of stuff. But the mess halls were so obscene. And then when you would go back to Fort Bragg, and Fort Bragg was using all contractors in the mess hall. But the food sucked. The food in Iraq was 10 times better than at the premier army base in the United States of America. And we were sitting around at the microphone, and we were like, they ought to get all them raggedy-ass contractors there in Fort Bragg and make them come over here and cook in Balad. Make them cook over here in Iraq. Teach them how to do their job. It's crazy.
When our galley when I was finally made it to a ship, that first meal underway.
Yeah.
Man, you always wanted, because the guys didn't have nowhere to go. So they always put a little extra into it, Now, after you've been underway for a month, they're like, all right.
Start running out of rations and stuff. Can you imagine being on a sub? I mean, you have to load every single thing through that hatch. It's like a tank, but on a much bigger scale. I can't even imagine that.
Oh, we do, we ended up independent steaming down in the Red Sea, and they had no idea how long we were going to be there, and they called an all-hands, they called it a working party. There wasn't no party about it, but they would do what they call a vert rep. So basically you got a supply ship on either side of you, and they're just bringing helicopters over to the flight deck, dropping pallets.
Wow.
We had pallets lined up both sides of the ship, and anywhere they could find a guy that knew how to weld a hasp onto a fan room door. I mean, everything from just little stuff you don't think about, razor, shaving cream, stuff like that. And, the first couple of days, man, you got all kinds of stuff. And there might have been a few baskets of, strawberries got diverted somewhere, where they probably shouldn't have.
Well, I'll tell you,
fresh fruits and vegetables are awesome.
FFVs.
FFV, yeah. But like I said,
I'll tell you though, that there's a downside. There's a downside to that too, though. When like in Iraq, when the bases started really building up, and there was, little PXs and little Burger Kings and snack bars and stuff like that on the FOB. You still had these core convoys going on, and these convoys, they call them the contractors' vehicles that were actually moving equipment, not military equipment, but goods, were called white trucks. They were just tractor trailers, raggedy ass tractor trailers, no sleepers on them, real small cabs. And then the green trucks were the army trucks that were providing security for them. And, you'd have these convoys going up through before the surge really took effect, when we were really getting hit by Soleimani's EFPs every day, 80 times a day, by the way. The GIs that were on the green trucks that were protecting these convoys, it was hard on their morale when they lost a couple guys, and one of the white trucks gets hit or something, or one or more gets hit, and all the goddamn stuff from the PX flies out all over the highway. You know what I mean? Stereos, stuff that we don't need. It's not bullets and bombs. It's freaking sweaters and Barbie dolls. And these guys are out there, they're, 18, 19 years old, going, why am I giving my life for this stuff? It was hard,
Why am I getting Barbie dolls?
Yeah. I mean, it was hard, when one of those trucks would get opened up, because it was stuff for the PX, man. You know what I mean? We were overkilling on a lot of stuff, on the mess halls. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead. I'm not going to go down that road. It's going to take too long.
Well, I just wanted to bring up the thing about the checks. I thought that was pretty funny. That
true story. Man.
Like I said, you can't really do that stuff nowadays.
No,
with all this electronic crap.
Plus, they're not allowed to punish you for anything anyway. Now, I mean, I don't think they live in freaking dorms. They don't even live in barracks anymore. The sarge can't even come in your room. I mean, that's what used to keep me straight, man. Because I knew Sarge was coming in, man, at 7 o'clock or 6:30 or whenever, and I couldn't have, like a full ashtray or nothing like that or garbage. I had to have, we had to be straight.
Well, me and this other guy, we kept a pretty tight room, and every so often they do what they call health and comfort inspection, right? I think I might have shared this before, but my dad had bought me this K-bar, right?
Right.
I had it in my locker. But this freaking sonar tech, first class E6, first class petty officer, comes in there and he picks this thing up out of the drawer. You just swore he was, picking up something disgusting. I'm like, dude, it's a freaking knife. I was like, you should see what, Neil's got a smaller one that he picks in his toenails all night. Like, we grew up around knives when we were kids,
See, they were cool in the Army. Knives were good. No problem with a knife.
But yeah, this guy, he about flipped his lid when he.
All right, look,
saw that thing in
all right. Ken, I got a lot to cover. Wait, hold on. I want to ask you. The NRA showed up in Richmond today, and they showed up in force. I was watching some video, and apparently, I mean, they printed shirts out and everything. Everybody's wearing these blue NRA shirts, and they're in there. And then I read another story that the NRA was providing 30-round magazines to people. Are you got to get me some up-to-date news on this stuff, brother? Or maybe Regina will call in too. She's closer to it.
Yeah, she's a lot closer to it, and I don't have TV, so
you don't have TV.
Over and hang out. No, but unless I go over to the neighbor's house, he's got cable. But yeah, we haven't had TV for probably 12 years now.
No television sets in your house at all.
Well, okay, we have televisions, but we don't have a cable service.
Well, what about the internet? You don't have a Roku or something?
That's the only reason, or that's the only thing we use the cable service for is high-speed internet. So.
Oh yeah, that's what I got up. But you don't get any TV off of that, like the Fire Stick or the Roku or something.
We've got a Netflix account, free, which I hardly ever use. But
all right, well, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, man. So all right.
I think we also have one of those Amazon Prime accounts. So every once in a while.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah, I watched on there. I just watched a movie on there last night. All right, Ken, thanks for calling, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. Yep.
Ken from King George, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so now where are we at? We're at this unhinged dude. Where there's this CEO of Maple Leaf Foods from Canada goes on Twitter and goes on a rampage against the president after Iran shoots down a Ukrainian plane. This guy's going to go off on our guy. This is why Canada's never going anywhere. And his name's McCain. Michael McCain, the chief executive officer of Maple Leaf Foods, one of Canada's flagship food companies with $3.3 billion worth of sales, almost as much as liberals like him gave to Iran, by the way. Just a little funny there.
I got a question. Now, think about this. The Ukrainian plane's in the air, right? Planes coming in. You don't think that Iran says, hey, we're launching a whole bunch of missiles. Get the hell out of our airspace.
I can't figure out what happened there. I don't know. I can't. I haven't spent enough time. Have you thought about it? Have you thought about it? What do you think happened?
I think that somebody got tight. They didn't go off and say, hey, we got an incoming. What do we do with it? And they just said, shit, blow it out the sky. And
Allahu Akbar. That's probably right. You're probably right.
Because they figured it's the Americans retaliating for us shooting fireworks at them.
Yeah.
So
listen,
we'll blow up their jet and we'll prove that we are the great Iran.
Listen what this Jagoff writes on his company's Twitter feed. I'm Michael McCain, CEO of Maple Leaf Foods, and these are personal reflections. I am very angry, and time isn't making me less angry. MLF colleague of mine lost his wife and family this week to a needless, irresponsible series of events in Iran. U.S. government, I mean, it just goes on and on. U.S. government leaders, unconstrained by checks and balances, concocted an ill-conceived plan to divert focus from political woes. The world knows Iran is a dangerous state, but the world, I'm not even reading this shit. You know, the hell with this guy. I don't even know. I'm just so blown away by how many leftists are really seriously struck by Trump derangement syndrome. It's either that, and you know what, Ward? It's probably not that. They've been on Iran's side from the damn beginning, when you think about it. You know, the Democrats, the leftists, they've been on, I mean, just look at Carter. He let it happen.
They've been on the dictator side.
Yeah.
And it's now starting, and I'm seeing more and more stuff on Twitter where the Iraqis, or Iranians, excuse me, are going, we don't want this. We don't want this. They're tired of it. They're tired of the mullahs having them live in this subservient lifestyle. I mean, in the last couple of days, pictures have, come up and whatnot that were taken prior to the religious revolution or whatever they call it. And it looked like it could have been, those pictures could have been taken in downtown Pittsburgh in the 70s.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there was no difference. It looked like people were happy and, enjoying life. And then the mullahs came in, they had this uprising, and it's just complete.
And unlike several of the Arab countries, Iran is not an Arab country, by the way, just so everybody knows that. They are not. They are Persian. And I mean, one of the things that makes Iran a whole lot different than any of the other Middle Eastern countries is, boy, they got some beautiful women, man. There's no need for hijabs over there, as opposed to, Jordan or so. I shouldn't even go there. But let's listen to Speaker Pelosi. I want you, because I like to ease up to the edge, Ward, and then back, I do. Speaker Pelosi is going to hem and haw. I want you to listen to the way she characterizes the protesters who are protesting in solidarity with the president, by the way, of the United States of America. And I want you to listen to her, and I also want you to listen to her call out stuffing envelopes the same way Kerry did with that other reporter.
We get there. We're seeing now demonstrations in the streets of Iran against the regime. Do you support those protesters, and would it be a good thing if they brought the regime down?
Well, the protesters are protesting, as I understand it, this brand of protesters, about the fact that plane went down, and many students were on that plane, and these are largely students in the street. I think the Iranians should have not had commercial flights going off when there was.
They're calling at the regime for lying. They're saying death to Khamenei as well.
No, well, whatever it is. But the fact is this: there were protesters in the streets before against the regime. After the taking out of Soleimani, there were protesters in the street joined together, as you know, against us. That wasn't good.
Not true.
Taking down this plane is a terrible, terrible tragedy. And they should be held accountable for letting commercial flights go at a time that was so dangerous. But there are different reasons why people are in the street. Of course.
No.
Some people did some things.
I'll tell you. And why are we subject to these Jurassic Park women? I mean, Nancy Pelosi, and men too, but Nancy Pelosi, you're going to hear, are you going to hear her? No, you're not going to hear her. But, you got Senator Snowe and these people. I mean, yeah, you might hear her. But the way they talk, they're not even normal people, Ward. They're like mongoloids.
Well,
does that make any sense? I mean, they're not, you'd never go into a store in your neighborhood and run into an old woman and she sounds like Snow or Pelosi. They're just not normal people.
Most of the old women that I know don't drink vodka and
Good point.
The old ladies around here drink coffee and tea. They're not shooting vodka, chasing it with Vicodin all day.
There you go. That's a good point.
Pictures of her? Holy hell. There's some of them that it's like the vodka's fighting the Vicodin, and the other one's like retarded looking. And it's like,
hey,
oh my God.
Let's listen. I want you to listen to her. I want you to listen to her. And she's going to try to justify this ridiculous impeachment joke. And I think you're going to hear Snow, too, in this clip. I'm not positive. But I mainly just listen to her. She's a babbling fool.
You made the point that the president has blocked the witnesses, and that's true, but some of your critics have said that the House could have done a lot more to exhaust the alternatives, to go through the entire process in the courts and get to see if they would rule on witnesses. One of those critics is a very important figure in the Senate, Senator Susan Collins. Here's what she said.
Collins, that's who I meant, not Snow.
The House chose not to go to court to enforce its subpoenas. So there are...
The House chose not to support to go. Who talks like that?
There are gaps in what the House has sent us. I don't understand the House's decision on that.
So that isn't even true. We are in court on the witnesses. It could take a very long time.
You pulled back the subpoena on John Bolton.
Well, but on the other witnesses, we have been in court, and we haven't eliminated the possibility of ever subpoena and going forward with Bolton. But he has said in this 2-week period, that was another piece of progress that we made, that he would respond to a subpoena from the United States Senate. But the fact is that the President of the United States, again, quite different from President Clinton. President Clinton allowed the witnesses to come forward. President Trump has prevented that from happening.
Why not wait for the courts to rule?
Well, because it'll be how long do the courts take? We have confidence in our case that it is impeachable, and this president is impeached for life, regardless of any gamesmanship on the part of Mitch McConnell. However, that could still come to bear. But we're confident in the impeachment, and we think that it is enough testimony to remove him from office. However, we want the American people to see the truth. And why are they afraid of the truth?
Why do we not remove people like this old Jurassic Park, moss-covered, dementia-inflicted moron who is third in line to be president of the United States, Ward?
Well,
that's scary.
That's her end game. I think that was her end game. She wanted to get rid of Trump, and then she was gonna go after Pence, and then she was gonna name herself Queen of the World, and that really doesn't work like that, Nancy. And it's not going to. She thinks that the House is gonna, even if they would convict him and say, yes, you are impeached. You're censured. Don't do that no more. Next.
Yeah, I know. It is nuts, man.
Nothing they've done is, culpable for removing this guy from office.
None of it is. And if there was some way that they got little Marco or Cornyn or some of these other Romney or Snow or Collins, Murkowski, if they got enough of them together and they did remove the president, I'm going to submit there'd be violence.
Yeah.
I really mean that, too.
They're really trying to change the vote of 63 million people.
Exactly.
It's not just...
exactly.
That's the whole thing with this impeachment. It's not whether or not Trump did anything or not. It's the fact that these people don't like the fact that he got elected, and they're going to do everything in their power to make us, try and reverse our vote because they don't like it.
One of the things that offended me more than most out of the last couple days was little Michael Bloomberg, the little freaking rich prick jagoff from New York, who said, I'm going to spend $1 billion to get rid of Trump. And you know what that translated to me? I'm going to spend $1 billion because fuck you, Hutch. You know, that's what that translated to me. I'm sorry about the language. But that's the way I feel. When they say that kind of thing, it's like we worked our butts off to get this guy elected, man. I know I did. I lost a lot of friends getting this guy elected.
Here's the thing. They said Bloomberg spent $34 million since he's jumped in, and his last rally had 18 people show up.
He had 45 guys at a rally today that was supposed to be a barn burner.
Okay.
You know, same thing.
45 guys. It takes more than that to set up for one of Trump's rallies.
Unbelievable. Let's go to Kentucky and welcome Rico to the show. I'm sure you heard my dissertation about copyrighted music. I had to back off a little bit, sir. Go ahead.
I'm good with that, man. I'm actually really good with that. So, you know, is it okay to call Nancy Pepperoni a bitch?
You do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. I know she's a very powerful one, though. Do you know? Are you aware of her history?
Not as much as I am with Bloomberg.
Do you know who she is? She's a mob daughter. She belongs to the D'Alessandro family. She's not from San Francisco. She's from Baltimore. Her family's from Baltimore. Her father was, I don't know his first name, but he was a mayor of Baltimore. D'Alessandro, closely aligned with other mob influence people in the state. She's mafia all day long, my man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was listening to this whole thing about Scientology last night, man, and Scientology is a brutal criminal religious organization. I was thinking
that's a fact.
There's some strong comparisons to what the Democrats are doing in politics versus what Scientology is doing with religion, man. And I just said, damn, what parallels. Anyways, Bloomberg, man, he's in the back pocket of the Chinese, man. What the Chi-Coms are going here? Hey, guess what? Bloomberg's basically funding companies over there, or at least helping them out. To
Guess where else? Guess where else?
The other places.
In the Middle East, too. He's setting up the biggest media company, the biggest media presence in the Middle East is Bloomberg News.
Yeah.
There's no question.
He's incentivizing these people to steal our intellectual properties.
Absolutely.
You know, so, okay, great, Bloomberg.
Did you ever hear anybody talk about? How they discovered that intellectual property theft? It's pretty interesting, man. It's like I heard a CEO talking about it one time, and he said, we sold 112,000 copies of this software, and you know how software works, man. Every now and then you got to go to the website and update, your firmware or your software. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Ward, because you're the expert, not me. But we sold 100,000 copies of this, and 700,000 people have asked for updates.
Yep.
There it is.
That's exactly how it works. And not only that, you look at some of the stuff that gets sold in China that looks exactly like an iPhone, except it might be called an iPod, something like that. They'll draw the character, something to that effect. But it's basically they stole the design. They're making them, and they look just like the ones you buy from Apple, except it's not, pay.
But here's the part where I think Americans should hang. A lot of these CEOs, or whoever the CEO charges to go into China to make the, pitch for their company to, operate in China, one of the requirements, well, first of all, it's not the same as here. Most other places in the world, beside the United States, there's not such a big differential between private sector and government. It's more crony capitalism. In other words, the Chinese government runs the Chinese economy. The same way with the Egyptians and the same way with most places other than the free world, which isn't so free anymore. So really, you have the Chinese government is who you're negotiating with if you're a United States corporate person trying to get into China. And one of the requirements of the Chinese is that if you're going to bring your company in there, you have to provide the Chinese government with all of your what's it called, Ward? When I can't think of the word right now. When you know the property, the property that's
intellectual property.
Yeah, but it's specific to that company. You know, they're the only ones that have that technology. Is this company going into China? And if you go into China, you have to give them all that. I'll think of it here before long. But a proprietary, all the proprietary information you have to give to the Chinese government, which means as soon as you get done with that first run, they already know how to do it, and they made another plant, a province or two away, and did what Ward said and dropped the R out or dropped the H out, and now it's an iPhone. But it's the same exact thing that they stole because you're over there. It's crazy, man. It's thank God for President Trump. That's all I can say, because we were going down a hill that would have canceled us out at some point in time in the very near future if it wouldn't have been for this guy coming out here and telling it like it is. I can't stress that enough. I mean, we're lucky. Your thoughts?
Well,
you got to be sharp on there. Go ahead, Rico.
Well, that's the commie crats douchebaggery, which is stinking up the world, man.
It is,
and that's the reason why Mr. Trump is out there going, you know what? We need to make a deal, which includes intellectual property.
Yeah, he's doing good. He's doing real good.
He campaigned on that. He campaigned on the fact that China was not only manipulating currency, but they were stealing IPOs. I mean, stealing intellectual property. And he said that we're going to fix that. And that was, I think that is actually part of that that trade bill that he's supposed to sign with China. I think it's this week.
Phase 1, yeah, it's coming up soon. I hope it works too. I do.
Yeah, you got to think about Bloomberg. Bloomberg is getting into the fight because Trump's doing what he's doing in China. It
has a lot to do with it. Certainly, there's no question. There's no, and here's the thing. And I will let me tell you this. If you get some time, Rico, there's a website. You might already be familiar with it, but it's the Conservative Treehouse, and it is run by a guy named Sundance. And this guy is so spot on. If there's anybody that listens to this show for any amount of time that hasn't checked that website out, this guy called the 2012 election. I mean, it is just, this guy does so much work. And he does it with these international trade deals. He was the guy that basically alerted us to the fact that the president, unlike any other president in history, unleashed his economic supermen onto the battlefield. That's why we're winning all over the world. It's not because of our troops. God bless them. I'm one of them. It's because of our economic people that are squeezing every country on this planet to get us back to where we're supposed to be. It's the most ingenious thing he's ever done.
Well, and that was one of the things he said. Remember during his campaign that when they said, "I'm not going to go negotiate with China. I'm going to send Carl Icahn."
Yeah.
Or I'm going to send.
But now he's got Mnuchin and Lighthizer and the rest of them, right?
Yeah, I'm going to send these guys that's what they do. They're professional negotiators.
And they're cutthroats.
I'm not going to send. Yeah, I'm not going to send a politician that's going to go kiss their ass. I'm going to send a guy that's going to go cut their throat.
Yeah. Can you imagine John Kerry versus Lighthizer? Come on, man. Kerry and Biden they're going to give away your child. For Christ's sake.
Well, that's their thing. It's we'll give you money to do whatever. You know, they try, and remember they were the ones that tried to spend their way out of poverty.
Absolutely, absolutely. Spent $3 trillion, and there's more people now than ever before. Rico, any final thoughts? Got to let you go.
Just the Democrats are on a platform basically trying to tell everybody they're going to get everything for free, which will never happen.
There you go.
That douchebaggery is getting deep in the United States and around the world. That's all I have to say.
It's Christmas time. Thanks for calling, Rico. Appreciate it, brother.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Let's go to Missouri and go to Ralph. Hello, Ralph. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, John Kerry will probably call James Taylor and tell him to come out and do a concert in Iran that Trump would really.
Good one, man. Good one.
Jane would show up. Anything that's anti-American would get her involved.
Let's jump around to a couple things that's happened recently. Okay, first off, I was totally awestruck at when we took out Soleimani, and then after all their bluster of 3 days of mourning, they start launching missiles. Inside of 12 hours, the mainstream media, they don't really mean to hit us. They're just shooting it off and they're going to lie to their people and all. If that's the case, then what are they doing now? They just got caught on the shoot down of the jetliner. And about the shoot down of the jetliner, it was a 737-800, if I'm not mistaken. And they tried in the media, somebody brought out the subject saying they thought it was an F-14 Tomcat. Now, wait a minute.
Squadron of F-14 Tomcats.
Exactly. The IFF, Identified Friend or Foe, transponder that's on that aircraft, I don't even think it's capable of being tuned to squawk on an IF signal that it's a Tomcat, much less somebody's asleep at the switch when that SA-15 Russian portable SAM launcher, pegged this thing. I think, and then what my point is that they're trying, 1 minute the Iranian mullahs are geniuses. The next minute they're dumber than a box of rocks. Standing there going, what the hell? And our guys, as far as those, whatever you call it, Saud 3 missiles, ballistic missiles they were shooting, they said they were shooting cruise missiles and ballistics. Then the report changed.
There was no cruise missiles there. Those were Estes rockets.
Ballistic missiles and all that. So, but they didn't mean to shoot them at us. They were just like shooting over our head. Hey, guys, don't worry about it, and all that. Meanwhile, our guys are still trying to get set up Patriot missile battery Block 3s, and they took, as I put a video in the chat room this past week from YouTube, they took the Navy's close-in weapon system, the Phalanx, which is R2-D2 Gatling gun, and they put it on the back of a truck, a flatbed, and they called it a Centurion. And when they turn this thing on, it seeks and destroys anything that it notices with 620-millimeter armor-piercing, sometimes exploding ammunition.
They always explode. Well, the ones that the ground forces use always explode because it keeps it from going into the next village.
Premium rounds, if you can believe that. But I hear tell that they're not doing that anymore because when I watch the videos of these guys uploading and downloading ammunition from the unit, they're not wearing any type of radioactive protective equipment.
No, I don't think they're not using DUs anymore. I don't think. Yeah, but my son, just a point of order here. My son is a battle captain. Well, he's not now, but he was when he was in Bagram in Afghanistan. That's what he did, man. He was a battle captain of the Sea Rams, which is the Phalanx, the Army version of the Phalanx.
Yeah.
What a hell! That's a hell of a weapon. It is. It is. They had like a 60% chance of shoot down on a mortar or a rocket. That's a pretty good deal, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he shot down 35 of them. My son shot down. My son's platoon shot down. He's a platoon leader. He's a company commander now, but his platoon shot down 34 rockets and mortars inside Bagram, and an amazing feat.
It draws the line to the target when it shoots.
Yeah,
it hits the target and then draws to it at the same time. So when
it's
that thing
amazing.
starts shooting off, you got incoming.
Yeah, it works with the radar systems. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it really is.
Block 4. Back in my day, it was just R2D2.
Right. Well, it still looks the same.
Yeah. They had a camera and a scope on it and all that, where somebody operating it can actually, see what's going on. And of course, as always, you tell it kill or not to kill, because we'll shoot anything
that was my son's mission. That was his job. He was the guy that had to determine, is there Apaches out there, or because if you're wrong, you're in trouble, man. I mean, Americans are going to die.
Well, that's where the IFF comes in there, where the guys are squawking and that.
No, there's no IFF involved in missiles and rockets. That's in planes, because I was in air defense too, and the IFF. You're right, and it's a brilliant system, ladies and gentlemen. What it is, it's an interrogator, friend or foe. And what the people on the ground do is our allied aircraft have transponders on board, and they continuously transmit, I'm a friend, I'm a friend, I'm a friend, I'm a friend. And our IFFs, and the frequencies change every day. You know what I mean? And, the guy that's on the ground in my position was a Stinger missile. It was a Chaparral. It was a tracked vehicle, but it had 4 Stinger missiles on it. And when you transmitted the IFF, you were interrogating what you saw in the air. And if it came back and it was good to go, then you were okay. But if it didn't come back, then now you got to decide if you're going to kill this thing. And it's the same way with a CRAM operator, with a Phalanx operator. He blows out the IFF transmission, and if nothing comes back, all right. Now it gets harder. Now the human guy, my son, has to look at the video, what Ralph was talking about, and determine, is this the enemy or not? The last punch-off on the ticket is a human punch-off, Ralph. It's the guy that's in charge of the gunner station, and man, I'm glad I didn't have that job.
Yeah, human tells it to kill.
That's true.
You don't
absolutely. No doubt about it. All right. Any go ahead.
Selling missile tech. Don't forget, the North Koreans are selling their missile tech to the Iranians, and they're trying to get them a sub-launched ICBM or sub-launched missiles of some ballistic missiles of some sort.
Let's talk about that for a second, because what you brought up is very important. A lot of people think that Iran is standing by themselves, or either just benefiting from trade with Germany and France and England, are quote unquote allies. That I would question that, but that's what we're still saying. We're still saying there are allies, even though they're all working with Iran. All of them. Every single one of them is working with Iran right now.
Well, I don't know, because Boris Johnson kind of stood up for us after, when
England is changing. England is changing. So possibly maybe they will, do the right thing. But let's watch and see first.
Once again, in calling Peg a pig, Boris Johnson did stand up after Soleimani was killed, and he took our side. So
let's between now
we see him.
No, you're right. But between now and then, let's watch and see where the money goes.
I agree.
And then we'll go from there because I'm leery. I am. Every single Ralph, I want to know your opinion on this. Every single ally that we've grown up to understand that they're on our side, how are you feeling about them right now?
I wouldn't trust them, depending on the situation. But see, that's the beauty of what Trump has done. Instead of doing the usual run and gun thing and going after Iran after they fired off whatever it was they fired off, all that at us the other night, he decided, okay, guys, here's your proof. These guys aren't what they're building. We need to renegotiate and all this. But I've always got my hand on the button. If we don't get something straightened out here, I'm going to turn loose the dogs of war. I think that it forces our allies to straight fly or identify themselves as total buttheads, that they're totally against us, or Iran capitulates. Probably not, because I still believe he's going to end up having a.
I don't think they're going to capitulate. I think their people are going to freaking decapitate them. I think that's where we are, man. I do. I really do.
I'm not talking about like carpet bomb or whatever. Just take away some of their toys and make the point, which I believe is what was when we took out Soleimani. Is that one, I don't fear you. Number two, I can take you out anytime I feel like it, and there's not a damn thing you can do to stop me.
Let me tell you something. About Soleimani, man. Soleimani was 10 times more important than Osama bin Laden.
I agree. He was.
That guy right there, he was running the show, man. That guy might as well have been the president or the mullah or the whatever of Iran. He was the guy.
He was never going to be the president. He wanted to be the strong man. I mean, and
well, that's what I mean. He's the worst guy. He's the worst guy.
He by far, because he was a complete mental head case. I mean, there was a graphic that I had posted on Facebook about all the stuff that he did, and it's just one thing after another after another. I mean, there were hundreds
for decades, man. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, with blood on their hands.
Absolutely.
I mean, he got his start during the uprising in '78 or '79.
Exactly. Hey, Ralph, I got to let you go, man. I'm running out of time. Thanks for calling, brother. All right, I wanna play one more clip. One more clip for tonight's show. It's been a good show too, Ward. I tell you, man, we brought a lot out here. We got 15 minutes left. I want you to listen. The first part of the clip is our very intelligent and college-educated, American college-educated media talking about Soleimani and things. And then the second part of the clip, it's going to be a little noisy, but you're going to hear the Iranian people on the street. And every time you hear them raise up, and I would point you back to SteelCityResistance.com and check out the video page and go to episode 827, which is right, because the video page is just a long page. It goes for 100 miles. But the exits are marked by the episodes. So 828, and go down to where you find the U.S. media and Iranians clip, and watch. Every time that you hear a loud noise, that's them tearing down posters of this bastard that killed so many Americans. These are Iranians tearing. They were scared to death of the guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You know, that was the thing. The people in the streets. I mean, right afterwards, Pompeo posted video of people in the streets dancing. They were happy, you know, and they're saying, "Oh, all these people were killed in a stampede, you know, because of the sorrow for Soleimani and blah blah blah." No, they weren't. They were shot. They were shot because they refused to attend the funeral.
That's right. So during the second part of the audio clip, it's going to be hard to understand what you're listening to. But what you're listening to is every time the crowd raises up, it's because some guy climbed up a big giant pole and tore down a picture of this Adolf Hitler Iranian. Let's listen. But first, listen to the shame of the corporate media. And I mean Disney, AT&T. These companies ought to be freaking ashamed of themselves.
We are not safer today than we were before Donald Trump acted.
This is and was an enormous escalation.
Taking out a bad guy is not necessarily a good idea.
It's difficult to convey how revered he is. He's regarded as personally incredibly brave. The troops love him.
By killing Qasem Soleimani, the U.S. has stripped Iran of an inspirational military leader.
In life, Qasem Soleimani was celebrated as a military commander. In death, he's being saluted as a hero and a martyr.
The impact of his death, profound. The emotion just as powerful. The supreme leader of Iran weeping and praying over a coffin draped in the Iraqi flag.
I got to this.
Yes, of course, at the end, they had to shoot the AKs up in the air. Ward, that's just a mental malfunction.
Yeah,
that we're going to have to talk to him about that. Yeah.
Yeah, regardless of what they're doing, hey, we're going to have a wedding. Shoot up in the air. we just killed a general. Shoot up in the air.
Yeah, the lead will never come back down. It'll be fine.
Yeah, do you understand how a ballistic path works? No, they have no idea.
No idea at all. But, you know, the American media, what an embarrassment, Ward. I mean, geez.
Yeah, they fondled. I mean, I remember when when the Iranian hostage crisis happened, and I remember all of America, not just the lefties or the right wing guys. Everybody hated Iran, and there were. You know, remember they had Ayatollah Khomeini urinal posts.
Sure.
Urinal targets. I mean, it was a thing. You know, you had to hate Iran.
Exactly.
And now these people, from Nancy Pelosi down, they are fawning over the fact that we had the audacity to kill this terrorist.
Listen,
he was a lovely general.
What about all the people that you just heard that are being paid by corporate America? And they're saying these things. Every single one of those clips that you heard was somebody being paid by AT&T, General Electric, you know, or otherwise, Disney. I mean, it is, we have a problem.
Mainstream media hates us. They hate the country. This is part of the indoctrination that they came up with in college where, you know, it's America's bad, capitalism bad, socialism good. And that's why all these idiots that are coming out of college are looking at Bernie Sanders going, oh, that's exactly what we want. Because they don't know. They don't understand that you vote yourself into socialism and you got to shoot your way out.
That's exactly right, man. You never said anything more profound than that. We are going to have to shoot our way out if we let these stupid children of ours that you people did not parent determine our destiny.
I don't think that's anybody listening to this show, Hutch.
I know it's not, but God damn it, we have to start branching out because that's the only way to stop it, is to stop this. You can intervene if you have people in your family that believe in this garbage, and you all do, or he wouldn't have those kind of numbers. We have to teach them what the hell socialism is. And by the way, socialism is only a speed bump on the way to communism.
Oh, yeah. Well,
especially if it takes hold here.
It goes back to what we said 10 years ago, Hutch. You know, the whole thing with Che Guevara, all these idiot, kids are coming around, running out of college with the Che Guevara shirt on and how great he is. And it's like, you do realize he would have killed you.
I had a Mexican girl in my unit, a Mexican female sergeant. I shouldn't have called her a girl because I'm a 58-year-old dude. Anyway,
whatever.
With a Che on duty in the Iraq theater of operations during the surge, wearing a Che Guevara T-shirt, man. I was stunned.
Did you flip your shit?
No, I didn't. I didn't even say anything because it wasn't my shop. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I probably should have, but I mean, I wouldn't have made a difference. I had a mission, man. My mission was to keep my dudes safe, and that's what I was doing. I was up armoring the M1117s and doing what I did. But it's unfortunate. And I think what we need to do now at this point in time, it's time to forget about looking at long-term solutions to everything. I think we need to get back into the 50-meter target mindset to where we have a mission, and our mission is to get our president, God damn it, not just our president, I mean our half of the country. I think it's more than half. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've already proven it's more than half because Trump's our president. I think it's a matter of, it goes back to what we said before about schools, where these people are coming out of schools and they think that it's bad if you stand up to a bully, and that's part of the problem that, they have these bullying problems in schools and they say, well, we're going to take a zero tolerance and you can't do that. Instead of teaching the kid to stand up to the bully, because when you stand up to a bully, it makes them back down. Until now, no one was willing to draw a line in the sand with Iran. President Trump did. He said, hey, they attacked our embassy. We blew up their general. That's tit for tat. That's fair, man. I have no problem with it, and I think that the commander-in-chief made the right decision. And the fact that this, son of a bitch that they blew up, had American blood on his hands, I have no bad feelings about that whatsoever. He could have been retired. Yeah. He could have been just on a vacation, and they got him because he killed Americans. Screw him. He's dead. Next. Yeah, Give us the next guy.
Next. Nice. A great show, Ward, as usual. We're going Ward and I and Mona and Stacy for now. We'll see what happens in the future. Are trying to go to CPAC at the Baltimore Harbor on the 26th of February, ladies and gentlemen. And we have, I think it's about $1,700 already toward that. We had to spend some on some equipment. We bought a banner yesterday. I'm sorry, man. I mean, damn, I put Ward through hell. Let me tell you how many times did I kick that shit back? I had a template for a banner for us to take to CPAC, and I've been there several times. I know how this works. And poor Ward, man, I was like, all right, so help me out with this banner, and I started doing it, and he started helping me, and I was like, no, you got to move it down a little bit more. And when I sent it to the banner company, it wasn't the same as when, Ward sent it to me. In other words, the letters were higher or whatever. Man, we went through about 3 hours of back and forth of design interventions. You did a great job, man. You did, man.
That's fun to me. That didn't bother me at all. I'd rather get it right.
Right, and that's what I was thinking. Once we buy this thing, that's it, man. I mean, that's all we got. So I was I kept rejecting it. Poor, I kept rejecting it, and it's like, no, it's got to be a little lower, got to be a little higher, got to be a little more color, whatever. And I think I deleted like 30 emails.
I'm sure you did. I'm pretty sure I sent about 30 emails.
But I ordered it. So it's on order, and it cost about $150. But we'll have it, and it's going to be there. I got I previously bought the rack that'll hold it up behind us. So that's good. But if you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, what is it, Ward? A hotel room is what, about $1,050, something around there. I think that's what we both, because you and I both.
It was like almost $1,100.
Yeah, it was close to $1,100, and we both reserved our rooms. And Mona, I'm sure, is going to do that shortly, and Stacy. But you can see the amount of money that we need at $1,100 a person. And then there's additional costs other than that. And I don't like that the costs are that high. And everybody that's listened to the show knows I've been bitching about this for years. Why do we have to have this here? Why do we have to have it in Washington, D.C.? Why can't we go to Weirton? Go to the casino and go somewhere else. There's other places that the venue is not so damn expensive and unionized. However,
that's why the RNC is going to have it in Charlotte.
Well, yeah, but the CPAC is permanently embedded in the Baltimore Harbor. It's all right. It's a good event. If we can raise enough money, we'll go. We're not good to go yet, though. You know what I mean? We're not definitely going yet. We're not going to definitely go until I get the credentials, but we'll do that. And if it falls apart, I'll figure out a way to get your money back. I'll try. But anyway, if you want us to go to CPAC, we've got a great camera, a great cameraman. We've got audio equipment. What do we have? A portable, we got a mixer to take with us that we can attach microphones to, that we can take calls. I mean, this is one of the problems I always had the other times I went to CPAC. We never took calls. Well, shit, we're going to take calls if we can. We're going to try anyway. I mean, I think we can do it, Ward. I think we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Between Uber Conference.
We should be able to do it. Uber Conference should be able to do it.
I think so, too.
We go into the website and then everybody calls into it. Yeah,
I think it should work. I really do. So anyway, we got a lot of things going on. That's actually the next target, though, is CPAC. And that's February 26th. We need to wrap that up by the beginning of February, man. Or we'll give it 10 days into February. And then we're going to decide whether we're going to do it or not. But at any rate, Ward, thanks for being on the show tonight. And how can people get in touch with you and your final comments, sir?
You can always hit me up on Twitter at 4022. All I'm going to say is, with the big national championship game, I don't hold anything up.
All right, brother. I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for letting us into your life for a couple hours. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. I got wingmen all around. We'll catch you on Wednesday. God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, please support Jacob Seals. rsbn.bandcamp.com. My man.
Makes you think. Makes you think about the people in your life. And I think of Neil. And if he was sitting there right now, what he'd say to me? He'd say, John, what's it about? What's life about? If you don't go through it as a man's man. You say, suck it up. Take the fall. Do the time. That's made you who you are. That makes you what you are. We've been around this thing of ours, this Cosa Nostra, 120 years. I mean, what's it about? It's about the rules, parameters. When you take the beating for the friend, you don't run, you don't lay down. You don't betray who you are. What you are.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem is basic. You pick it up in the street. That goes with the street. You got to remember Angie here. I love this guy. I loved him. And he was stupid. He never listened to me. He always wanted goddamn dope money. He never rolled. Do you know that? He never rolled. My brother Gene, Joey DeMig, they don't roll. They're doing 1,000 years now. They don't roll. They don't rat, White. That's the rule. You don't break, you don't rat. Basic rules. Gives you a little power, right? Not the kind of power these feds have. God forbid, right? God forbid we pull their chain in public, right? Fucking dress better than them, they take it personal, like it's a fucking vendetta, right? They're supposed to act better than the rest of us. Just want me to be something I wasn't even born to be.
Humble.
Humble.
They want you to be humble.
Yeah, so you humble me. What you got now? You got a war? You got a global war? You got the Chinks, you got the Dominicans, the Asians, the Russians, the Colombians, the Jamaicans. What they doing? They desecrate the nation. You got your veritable fucking snowstorms of cocaine and smack, whatever the hell else they shove in their veins. You got a worldwide crime syndicate now. There's no rules. There's no parameters. There's no feelings. There's no feelings for this country.
Anarchy.
You got anarchy. So? 5, 10 years from now, they're gonna wish it was American Cosa Nostra. 5, 10. They're gonna miss John Gotti.